Hello there, folks. Thank you all for showing up. I know it's a Friday afternoon and it's been a long conference, but I assure you this will be a stimulating panel, or at least it will be if I have anything to do with it. Today we will be discussing the subject which nobody seems to care about until it's too late, which is cybersecurity. We have plenty of different angles to explore, so we shall get into it pretty pronto. But just to start off with, a Scotsman, a Ukrainian, an Israeli, and a Russian walk into an Avalanche Summit. If anyone can think of a good punchline, please let me know. There is a prize. And come speak to me afterwards. Just to start us off, I thought we'd start off with something a bit light, the topic of rug pulls. So I've now met two whole people, who lost a fortune in Mt. Gox in 2014. Who, with the wisdom of experience, went on to put their money and keep their money on FTX. Similarly, I've met plenty of senior engineers who know the software back to front, who understand how self-custody works, they can do multi-signature wallets, whatever, who kept a fortune on FTX. And it made me think, when thinking of this panel, what is it that we can do inside the security industry to change this without simply promoting our own products? How can we actually change this culture where, despite all of the development we've seen in the space, despite the maturity of the space, we see a lot of the same mistakes take place over and over again? So while the threat landscape has changed a lot of the vulnerabilities and the poor behavior that leads to big cracks in protocols, really, a lot of it's quite the same as well. So Misha, perhaps you could start us off.
Yeah. Hey everyone. Self-custody would solve a lot of issues that you mentioned, but it's not a great solution for a huge mass of people who are like maybe not that knowledgeable in blockchain and like how EOA wallets work. So the huge advances in this sort of space are led by account abstraction, which will change a lot of things. Like we'll introduce social recovery, we'll introduce some like different abstractions, get into other methods of recovery. So self-custody is going to be more sustainable and more like viable for, not stable, viable for a huge population of people. That's going to be the first real step. And like we have L2 Madness, which is like trying to, and we'll get to like several orders of magnitude decrease in like cost of transactions. That can lead to more things happening on chain. And combined, you basically don't need FTX after that. Or at least if somebody promises you like 10% on stable coins, you know exactly like what's going to happen to your funds. Right. Yeah, that's basically like two punch that can help a lot.
Yaniv, I know you have quite a holistic approach to how security should be conducted. Perhaps you could explore a bit of that here.
Yeah, sure. So first, great being here. It's great to see that we have many folks that security matters to them. And thank you for the Avalanche team for hosting me. So basically the way that I see it, I think that what is missing today in the ecosystem is proper education. Like blockchain provides a lot of power in the hands of individuals, in the hands of builders, but with power comes great responsibility, and people don't care much about security risk, about economic risk. We should see builders, we should see ecosystem players, we should see end user pushing for more education around security. When we'll have this education, people will really care about security, you will have budgets. Like with each and every in other industry, which is complex industry, you have teams that are dedicated only for security, teams that do the proper risk analysis, not only for cyber, but also economics. And I think that users should push that. Like users are pushing for, getting into conferences and playing in the community. Users should push for protocols and builders to deploy security programs, to have this holistic approach. And coming to the holistic approach, so I believe that protocols and builders should push for an open standard for security that will combine not only auditing, but also real-time monitoring, incident response. You want to know that if you deploy cache in a protocol, it has played war games before that. Like for when an incident happens, you want to know that everyone in the team are aligned of what they should do, how they should communicate, how they should contact law enforcement, that they have the right measures to pause the contract or to block a malicious transaction. And with that, I think, and it should start as an open initiative, something that will be a standard, so no user will deploy funds in a protocol which is not been protected, that hasn't put the right resources into security. And this is where we'll see that the ecosystem is becoming more safe, more secure, and I believe, and I hope that this is what will bring the masses into ecosystem. Like users shouldn't care about the end, about security. They should know that everything is there for them. Builders are doing that. And again, this is, I think, what will bring the masses into the ecosystem.
Very good. Yeah, what do you make of it? How do we change the culture in Web3?
I think we are still in the Wild West, if we are talking especially for crypto exchanges. We started doing this research in crypto exchanges starting in 2018, and it was more about fraud. But if we are talking about security, that's another problem that they don't care a lot until something happens. Of course, we see the hacks in the market. And I think what's lacking is kind of, self-regulation, standardization, how actually they should care about security. And I 100% agree from comprehensive approach. It's not about smart contract audits. It's about operational security, how you manage your keys, how you manage your employees. Because look, in the hack of exchanges, there were a lot of cases where it just was internal job. And it's a big problem for crypto projects, which is decentralized, anonymous. You never know who is there on that side. And one of our projects that we do and that we think we tried to push security, we did a rating of crypto exchanges in terms of cybersecurity and starting requiring penetration testing, like bug bounties, ISO certifications, and stuff like that needs to be done. And also insurance, insurance funds for exchanges, if something happens, that the users can get some coverage. And for 2 years, I think we tripled the amount of pen tests and that's done for crypto exchanges, and twice the amount of bug bounties. So I think that we need some kind of regulation for that. And I know now that for getting license for crypto exchange, there is a vital part is cybersecurity. At least it's something. Of course, major of them do this just to have a checkbox, but still, I know there are a lot of crypto exchanges already who are taking security seriously, and I think it's good, but we are still far.
Yeah, there's certainly plenty of work to be done, just looking at the number of breaches we've seen over the past month, really. On that note, what are the most underappreciated risks that you guys see in the Web3 space at the moment? So when you're thinking of just the threat landscape as it is now, what is the risk that people are not aware of or are the least appreciated? Misha, let's start with you again.
Yeah. First of all, as we are moving to L2 saturation, and a lot of projects starting on their own chains, and basically every other chain that exists, adding EVM on top of itself to get that sweet Solidity developers and Viper developers. A lot of projects don't really understand the risks of scaling to different chains, because they think Avalanche is the same as Ethereum, right? The same code, the same code you need to deploy. Everything works exactly the same, but it's not. Every chain introduces new risks, be it Avalanche or a rollup or other chains that supports some edition of EVM. You can't just deploy your code to any chain. Starting from the layer of EVM itself, we saw a minor hack, and it tells a lot us that it's a minor. We saw $2 million being stolen from Merlin, or at least tried to be stolen from Merlin, because they deployed DEX not understanding what ZK sync, what's different in the ZK SIM implementation of EVM from the EVM in Ethereum. You need to know such things, and it's like the easiest part. The hard part is pre-compiles, because like our company identified the bug in custom pre-compiles in Avalanche like half a year ago, and it would be huge if we haven't found it. And then there are like something that is even less noticeable. You need to Yaniv told, you need to have a comprehensive plan when your project is gonna get hacked, or like there is some vulnerability identified. For that, you need a plan for emergency reaction. It basically needs to be something that you can do quickly and like protect yourself against abuse. So like for rollups, you need to have a reliable relayer. You probably have like an understanding of how sequences work, because like if you do something or try to white hat yourself, it's not gonna be like, it's gonna be a massacre, because like generalized bots are gonna front run you, back run you, like do with your transactions anything they want. So your project is gonna be, even if you identify the issue like before it's hacked, you won't be able to do anything effectively with that. So if you scale to 15 networks, good luck understanding each and every like small detail about the network architecture, and then knowing relayers, having separate like monitoring systems which like take into account each network. So yeah, like not a lot of people talk about it, and like auditors won't catch any of it. Like most of it will go like right over our heads, because you really need to like holistically analyze it, and nobody's gonna do it except your project. Yeah, that's the risk.
Yeah, don't white hat yourself is definitely what I'm going to be taking away from this panel. Yaniv, what do you think?
Yeah, so I think that most risks, like, let's divide them to categories. So the categories are well known. Like if you're on the Twitter, you see everything, and people are aware that there are like vulnerabilities in the code, you have economic risks, you have many other things. I think that users are not aware that there are novel attacks that combine few types of vulnerabilities, and that you can move from market manipulation to exploit things in the code or do things in your Oracle or whatever, right? I think this is one thing that many users are not aware of, and when it is happening, because many users are saying, or builders, yeah, I'm a fork of this and that, so I'm protected, or I wasn't hacked for the past year. It doesn't mean you're not going to be hacked. It's just a matter of when it will be, when someone else will have enough incentive to hack you and basically combine several types of attacks on your protocol. But I think, most importantly, what the ecosystem is not aware of, and I said it before, so I will say it again, I think that builders are not aware of what do they need to build to have a proper security framework, a proper security program. You wouldn't see, you don't see today many builders protocols that have a CISO, or that know what is the concept of a CISO, or a SOC, a Security Operations Center, or what is level 1 analyst, level 2 analyst. This is the risks that they are not aware of, because they will know somewhat, in some point in time they will be hacked. Okay, what then, right? So I think this is a larger risk to the ecosystem that you are not aware of.
Yeah, it's a sort of completely different level of conceiving of risk when you have entire departments that are focused on making sure everything is secure, which, I mean, thinking of a number of protocols who have that level of capability, you're not going to find many projects that do. Yev, what's your thoughts on it? What are we missing in the security space?
I think the big topic is third-party risks, because everything, how it works in crypto, you do fork, you don't get how it works, just do some modifications and launch the project. And then something happens. You're not monitoring third-party risks, you're not taking care of that vulnerabilities, and you are not even aware of that. it's good to be like in control of what are you doing and monitoring the risk first. And the second thing, I think it's still people, because operational security in a lot of crypto companies is awful, and you don't know who has access to where, how it's managed, how it's revoked. And still, I mean, if your ex-developer has access to GitHub, you never know what's going to happen. And the same with from the other side, from the user's perspective, because they think that they are not interesting to hackers, but at the end of the day, they can be just, you know, the targets in the just a part of massive attack. And they don't care, and they don't use basic stuff like password managers, two-factor authentications. I think that everything would be fine. They don't have that much money. But at the end of the day, it's not about someone who has a lot of money, it's about a lot of people who has a bit.
Yeah, certainly. When the risk of a breach could mean the end of your protocol, it's very hard to overstate how important security is, and yet it is still the state of play in Web3 that, you know, getting security is generally seen as an afterthought and something that you can do once you have raised a lot of money, when really you know, you need to be on this from day one. Though I would say that as we are in the cybersecurity industry. Hopefully, if I keep saying enough, people will start to understand it. On this note, so it's very, you know, it's a very depressing state of affairs, but we are going to see a lot more security breaches in the future, maybe even in the near future. If you keep an ear to the ground with protocols on the market, you will see breaches pretty regularly, actually. And the manner in which you respond to a breach can mean the salvation or the end of your protocol. So I was interested in what you guys thought on how both builders of protocols and users of protocols should respond in the event of a breach. And of course, the type of breach affects everything, but some general principles I think would be good for builders and users in the audience. Yev, we could start with you this time, then work our way along.
Yeah, sure. I think first what projects should do is plan their security, to do multi-layer security and defense in depth, do everything possible internally, then go to external auditors, then do crowdsourcing stuff like bug bounties, for example, and then have insurance, for example. And it's good to be ready for that, because if you're proactive, not reactive to security, it saves you some nerve system bits and money, hopefully. So I think it's important to have the incident response plan, as Misha told, that you should know what to do. You should just accept that it would happen earlier or later and have the plan and the responsible person who will handle that and handle this in the very operative manner. And yeah, I think what we see on the market is having bug bounties is the great way to get money back. Recently, hackers just send money back for bounties, and still, it's something. You're saving a bit, but doing your security properly.
Certainly. Yaniv, what do you think?
Yeah, so to add on top of what Yev mentioned, so I think that you need to have proper processes in place. And you need to have the right tools in place. You need to have, for example, let's say a hacker or a white hat, and it happened to us a lot. We found a vulnerability in a protocol. So we searched, okay, do they have a bad bounty program? They don't. We go to the Discord, said, okay, who is here from dev or security team? You don't find anyone that can actually deal with that. And you have a time, like you have a time bomb. Something will happen, and you want to deal with it as soon as possible. And this is just one example. Think that, you know, a protocol is being hacked now, right? They need to have the right processes. So the way to deal with that is first to have a dedicated team, which is, by the way, 24/7 available, because things will happen when you're in the Bahamas, when you are sleeping, when you are at the hospital, or in a panel, right? So you need to have 24/7 response. You need to be able to play war games, like to prepare the team. Something is happening, what you need to do, how is the process planned. You need to also prepare, and I don't think many protocols are doing that, but to limit the blast radius. Let's say the worst thing has happened, right? You've been hacked, now the funds are getting moved as soon as possible, and the hacker is trying to off-ramp them. You need to be able to provide the data as soon as possible and to have the connections and to work with the right partners that will be able to work both with law enforcement, both with centralized exchanges, because then it can be leveraged against the hacker, and you can do proper negotiation with them and retrieve the funds back. In the end, in the blockchain, you have so many capabilities to track down attackers, and protocols and builders should be aware of that and prepare for that. The only thing that users should do in the ecosystem is push builders to do that. When we'll see few blue chips that implement this entire process, everyone will follow because they know that users' funds won't be deployed in their protocols. And again, this is what will drive a more secure ecosystem, safer for everyone.
Don't you just hate it when your protocol gets breached when you're in the Bahamas? Sucks. But no, fantastic, Yaniv. Very, very comprehensive view on that. Having a game plan for what to do in the event of a breach is highly important indeed, and certainly something that's underappreciated. Misha, what do you think is missing, or what do you think is the best advice for builders and users in the event of a breach?
Run. Yeah, for users, you're like, you can't do anything. Just forget it. You don't monitor, don't do anything about it. You won't be able to like reach it in time, or you make it even worse. The only step for you is to really monitor one thing. If I needed to like cover 90% of what you can do, I'm not gonna talk about like key privacy and like ledgers and anything like that. Everybody should know this by now. But yeah, you need to monitor your approvals, your permissions that you gave to smart contracts. That's like the best way to protect yourself. The things that you don't use daily should not have approvals, like at all, if possible. So basically, like that's how you close a lot of things before they happen, a lot of risks before they happen. For developers, yeah, you have to have a plan, and like if you're a big company like Light or for like Aave, it's hard for you because you're a DAO. You need to have at least like 8 people of executive council outside of Bahamas at one time. So yeah, you need infrastructure in place. That's the only way, and that's not an opinion of my team or anything like that. That's my opinion. You need to like ASAP present Hacker with some sort of reward, because like that's the best. Like historically, that's the best way. The projects that like just shut down all communication with Hacker, they had a really bad time recovering their funds after that. For you, even like don't forget the damage that is done by hacker is not only the funds stolen. A lot of the funds of users are stored in token of the protocol that was hacked. So basically, each second that the protocol has not recovered their funds, this each second like loses money permanently for your users. So your task here is not to return, like it might not be like return all your funds, but to minimize that loss, that like the loss of reputation and the loss of value of your tokens to your investors and your users. Because like not a lot of people talk about this. They're interested in like stable coins and everything like that. And after a month of trying, their token costs nothing, and they lost a lot of money for their clients. Yeah, that's my like 2 cents.
Oh, very good. We are running low on time here, but I think we have time for one more question here. Now, there is a huge amount of sensationalist stuff out there about the rise of what is called AI. And what language models can do for us in the future. In the cybersecurity space, this is something at Sec3 we're quite interested in, how we can use machine learning to create better defenses for protocols. I'm interested in what you guys think of how the defensive and the attacking sort of purposes of these models can be used. So, is this something you think will make your defenses stronger, or do you think it's something that that might change the threat landscape as black hats start using this stuff against protocols? Yeah, we can start with you.
So what we can see from managing a lot of programs for bug bounty, we receive a lot of reports from ChatGPT, and customers actually really interested to filter that in advance. So doing triage for them for that. As for like how we use it, we have some internal development, but nothing that can be like substitute people yet. I hope that still human brains would be something not substitutable. And yeah, but it definitely can optimize our work in future, not now.
Oh, very good. Maybe it can automate us while we're away in the Bahamas. Yaniv.
Exactly. So AI, the way that I see it, it's a double-edged sword. So in the hand of defenders, so we are using machine learning algorithms, but it's just one tool in our arsenal. You need to have, like we put a lot of efforts into security detection algorithms and deep research and combine those with AI. AI really helps, by the way, in triaging and automation. So when you're in the Bahamas, like, again, this is just one more tool to do quick triage on things, and then you can have like level 1 analyst that will do job of level 2 analyst. But in the hands of hackers, you can use ChatGPT for a more sophisticated phishing campaigns and social engineering. And in the end, social engineering, like no matter how protected you are, in the end, it's the human factor. And I think that hacker will leverage that a lot because you can actually talk with person, like instead of a real person, it will be a ChatGPT or any other model that will do very sophisticated social engineering. And by that, like it comes back to the inside job that you mentioned. So I think this is a very, very scary thing. It will be interesting, for sure.
Certainly. Misha, what do you think?
Yeah, it's in terms of defense, at least how we understand it, it's quite useless because it hallucinates a lot, like super high percentage of false positives. In terms of attacking power, yeah, it's amazing. It can target and like score a huge volume of code like instantly, and you can like tinker with it a lot. So when you try to find projects that you can hack, yeah, that ML is very good at that. Like if you have correct heuristics for them to like select the projects, yeah, hackers are gonna be more efficient. And I'm not even talking about like classical phishing campaigns or social hacks. That's gonna be like on another level. So you're like your mother is asking you for your private key ASAP because your grandma is so sick and her hash is like corroded or something. So yeah, we're gonna experience a lot of new attack vectors, like both technical and social, and like I think that defensive capabilities are gonna lag behind for ML, really behind the attacking power. Yeah.
We're almost out of time now, folks, so I think we shall wrap up there. But big thanks to Avalanche for hosting this, and could we all give our panelists a round of applause, please, because that was fantastic. Well, that is all from us for now. If you do want to learn more about any of the projects we work with, please just check them out. And yeah, that's all. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you later.